Jermell Charlo is the undisputed champion of the world at 154 pounds. He was able to conquer the division with speed, power, and precise counterpunching. But now he's talking about stepping up 2 weight classes and challenging the undisputed champ at 168. There's an old saying in boxing that it only takes a good big man to beat a great small man. We've got weight divisions for a reason. So I think it's a fair question to ask. Can Jermell Charlo beat Canelo? Canelo has done some phenomenal things since he stepped into this game. I first remember seeing him when he fought Jose Cotto, Miguel's older brother, back in May of 2010. And when you look at his resume since then, man, he has done some awesome stuff. I mean, think about some of the names on there. We're talking about guys like James Kirkland, Erislan De Lara, Danny Jacobs, Angulo, Triple G 3 times, Floyd Mayweather, Bivol, moved up to 175 and snatched up the belt from Kovalev. I mean, the things that he's done has just been awesome. But you don't get that kind of glory and you don't get those kind of wins and you don't get that kind of fame without paying a price for it. That doesn't come for free. And when we look at it, this isn't the same Canelo that there's always been, right? The Canelo that's stepping in today against Charlo isn't the same Canelo that stepped in against Triple G in the rematch. He's only 33 years old, man, but he has had a lot of fights. He's been there against a lot of elite level talent. So the question comes, when we look at this one, the real question is, can Charlo take advantage of the flaws that we see in Canelo's game? Right? Because the Canelo of today doesn't use his jab quite as much to set stuff up. He just tries to move forward more. He just tries to inch his way forward more and more until he gets to the right spot. He doesn't try to use his jab to set up his power shots. Instead, he just relies more and more on power punching, particularly individual shots. We don't even see him use as many combinations as he used to. And defensively, he isn't quite the same as he used to be. He's always been known as being a slick defensive fighter. He's got some really good head movement. He's been able to get himself out of positions. Nowadays, it's just a little bit less, right? We've got a fighter that's a little bit less active, does a little bit less than he used to. Those are all the signs of an aging fighter, right? The injuries that are racking up, those are all the signs of what happens as a guy goes on and on in his career. That doesn't necessarily mean that he can't go out there and win this fight. That doesn't necessarily mean that Charlo is going to be able to take advantage of those weaknesses. But if he's going to be able to come out with a victory, I think he's going to have to focus on these things. Number 1, he's going to have to start fast. Canelo has never been known as a fast starter, and it's going to be important for Charlo to come out and start fast. Number 1, he wants to rack up those rounds. If he could win 3 of the first 4 rounds, that puts him in a great position because that puts Canelo in a spot where he has to be the aggressor even more so than he wants to. Make him fight at a pace a little bit faster than he wants to. Puts that pressure on him that he knows that he has to go out there and win those rounds if he wants to come out with the victory in the fight. And when you do that, it increases the probability that Canelo will make a mistake, and that's an opportunity for Charlo to take advantage. Also, coming out and starting fast lets Canelo know that you're not just going to be run over. Everybody knows that he's the smaller man. He needs to go out, start early, start fast, maybe land a good hard shot to earn Canelo's respect. Number 2, it's going to be really important that he uses his footwork. When we look at that fight with Bivol, one of the key ways that he was able to win that fight was by maintaining the distance. And yeah, he threw a bunch of jabs to maintain that distance, but really it was his footwork. It was his footwork that allowed him to maintain the gap and keep him at a distance where he was going to be able to land his shots, and it was going to force Canelo to really come forward and really make a big movement before he was going to land his punches as the smaller man. Also, Bivol understood angles really well, so he didn't allow Canelo to back him against the ropes and keep him there. He was able to create distance. He was able to create space. Sometimes it was with pushing off. Sometimes it was with using his footwork and creating the angles. That's something that Charlo's going to have to do. Charlo's the naturally bigger man in this fight. Let's not forget that Canelo turned pro at 147 pounds. Charlo is the naturally bigger man. He's the taller man. He's the man with the longer reach. He's going to need to figure out ways to utilize those advantages. And number 3, go to the body. Go to the body. As a fighter gets older, as a fighter wears down, as a fighter starts to accumulate those miles on his resume, they naturally start to slow down. We saw that in the fight with Bivol. As I mentioned earlier, Canelo's at a point in his career where he's choosing to throw every punch out there with bad intentions. And when you do that, you tire out quicker. Encourage him to tire out quicker. Encourage him to by getting behind in the fight, knowing that he has to do that, and then go to the body on top of it. Because when you go to the body, it's going to deplete that gas tank. It's going to wear him out. And not only did you start fast, but if you can go to that body and you start to wear Canelo down a little bit, you may be also, Charlo may also be able to come in there and snatch up those late rounds. So look, I'll be the first to admit, I sit here, I lay this out, it all sounds great, it all sounds packaged up really well, but there's a difference between me telling you what I think he needs to do to win and actually being able to go out there and execute, right? There's a lot of guys, there's a lot of trainers who can have some insight and they can study some film and they can see what's going on, but actually having their fighter go out there and be able to execute against a man who's at the skill level of Canelo, that's a completely different story. So it's going to be fascinating to see how this one goes down. I definitely think there's a path to victory for Charlo, but the question remains, will he be able to go out there and execute on it? Let me know what you guys think.